how you doing?
Good, and yourself?
Doing good. What brings you in today?
I'm having some pain in my lower back as well as my neck.
One finger. Where's the most pain today?
Right about here.
Right side. Okay. Look at your alignment here today. Let me look at you. Okay. Left shoulder's a little high. Okay. Push from the side. Okay. Head's about a couple inches forward. All right. All right. Let me have you on your back for me. Yes. Breathe in deep for me. Head back. Exhale. Breathe in deep for me. Head back. Exhale. There we go. Breathe in deep. Head back. Exhale. Good. Exhale. Last side for me. Exhale. Alright, so face up. How long ago did that start?
I don't know. It's been quite a while.
Well, okay. Alright. See where your alignment's at here today. Everything's over to the right side a little bit. A little tight on this right side. The bones are a little. There we go. All right. Let's see if we can. What position are you in throughout most of your day when you're working?
Unfortunately, hunched over a desk usually.
For most of the day?
Yeah. Anytime I'm at the computer, which tends to be, anytime I'm not moving around, but then when I'm driving, I feel like I end up sitting in those same positions, hunched over more than I want to, or being pushed forward by the headrest, and just not able to sit straight or.
Gotcha. New smoking, forward head posture, rounded forward is calling it the new smoking. It's just gets our spine gets more and more inflamed as we get forwardly rotated. There we go. All right. Yeah, this right side's a little bit tighter over here. If I'm going too deep, just let me know. I try to go as deep as I can go, right up to the edge of till you're screaming. Yeah. There we go. You have any kids?
Yes.
Couple kids.
Yes, 2 kids. Holding them too.
Okay, I got you. Wrestling them.
Yep.
Trying to keep them busy. Okay. This is the arch that should be in your neck. You should have this arch all the time, and the head needs to be over your shoulders. The more forward your head goes, the more stress goes on that point that you pointed on your back. That's a anchor point down there, and the ribs get sort of popped up the more forward our head goes, and so you can't ultimately fix a lower back or even a middle back problem without getting your head back, and so the driving, the work, the forward rotation that is all encompassing, puts ultimately almost like a domino effect, puts stress on our lower neck and then ultimately our middle back and lower back. And so there's some philosophies in chiropractic that just focus on correcting the atlas, this top neck, keeping this main engine running, takes a lot of stress off the lower neck. And little glue over here. Your paperwork said you had a car accident. Was there in your history?
Yes, a few years ago.
Okay. What was do you remember the details of that accident at all?
No. Well, I was distracted on the road, and I looked up, and the car in front of me was.
They didn't keep moving. That's right.
No.
I had a guy ran into a tree out in front of my office years ago, and he was like, that tree just jumped right out in front of me when he was drunk,
Yep.
The tree just came out of nowhere. There we go. All right, let me have you go ahead and sit for me. This comb helps to bring blood into these areas that are filled with lactic acid. Part of the reason why your head was a couple inches forward is we're trying to get your neck to like itself again. The joints in your neck, as they get inflamed, part of why there's some bruising in his neck, is causing your head to go forward. Now, you don't necessarily feel it because the head's avoiding it. And when your head goes forward, it puts more stress on that middle back. So we want to get his head back. These are the things that he's sort of what you're running away from right here, James, is tension, injuries, whiplashes, you name it. And there's an injury right here on his right side of your neck here, James. The mark is never normal. It only comes out in the areas where there's acidity. So when your wife sees your back and, what in the world did you do to him? You okay?
Mm-hmm.
How's this feel to you? Good, bad,
strange, but not bad.
Okay. I've been a chiro kid, and my dad's been working on me since I was a little kid. It's all based on what we're relatively used to.
Yeah.
No, I'm not used to anybody moving me like this.
It's not. It seems like it would be scraping, but it's more of a massage feel, and you can feel almost like liquid coming up to the surface.
Yeah, right here, these are the anchor points right here in your traps. Oh, I'm sure it's a little sore there. Yeah, just like the roots. I think of your neck like a tree, and the hair like the leaves, and these are the roots of your neck down here in your shoulder blades. The more forward your head goes, the more these roots get pulled up, and work and life and kids add to it. You buy a car, you're given an owner's manual, tells you how to take care of the car. You're born. Where's our owner's manual? We're sort of just left to just try to figure out life based on pain. The problem is only half your spine has feeling, and so your body will always sort of go to a position of relief, putting stress on things that don't have feeling and taking stress off things that have a lot of feeling. And so you can't, it's like, I'm pretty sure in terms of nutrition, no one says foods that taste good are good for you and foods that taste bad are bad for you. Maybe we'd like that to be true. No, Ed, chocolate cake is, it's really healthy and delicious, and it's nutritious and good for me. It's like, well, you have to have balance, right? Try to balance your diet. Well, it's about balancing your spine, not doing too much of one thing, having the right alignment. Usually find one side, where we hurt usually is where it's overworking, and then the other side is usually stuck. So one side is compensating for the other side not coming into work today. All right, let's go face down. Just feeling your back here a little bit. Yeah, left side. This is like the blocked up side. It's a little bit higher, about a ½ inch, quarter-inch higher on this right side. This is lower. If I put a marble on your back, it's going to roll off to the right. And so, like I said, this is the blocked up or stiff side. And then you almost always hurt where you're compensating and where it's overworking. And I think sometimes we get too focused on the areas that hurt. I find you'll get the most relief by getting this left side functioning, balancing the spine. There we go. There we go. Yeah, these ribs are all raised up over here. It's like you probably drive with your left hand on top of the steering wheel, That's the cool way to drive, Right shoulder on the center console, feeds what I call feeding the monster. It feeds this misalignment here, and then that throws all the work to that right side. There we go. tires on your car, if you have a tire not on straight on your car and the tire wears out unevenly, nobody says that I was sold a diseased tire, right? That, that part of the tread wore out faster than another part of the tread, right? The tread's the same age, right? And so when our spine wears out unevenly, we're being told it's a disease, and I go, well, it's sort of like an alignment. If it's the alignment's not correct, no, Ed, I called up Michelin and I got sold a diseased tire. The inside wore out faster than the outside. I had that actually happen on one of my cars, and the guy's like, you gotta get your alignment fixed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man. There we go. So we're just trying to break this down. The body tends to want to lean away from things that, like I said, there's an older injury here on the left side that you're leaning away from, and then the pain that you come in with is the compensatory pain, and then even the forward rotation is just, again, avoidance, and then life. Kids feed that avoidance. People might say, Ed, I think you rubbed the left side of his back a lot longer than the right. And I would go, yeah, because it needs more. This side's more tangled over here. It needs more time. And I don't really leave until it starts feeling a little bit more supple, a little bit more malleable, flexible, not so rigid. There we go. Really only two things in your spine that have feeling. The joint in your spine, which is sort of the local, that's why you can put your finger on it. When patients can, when you tell me, James, that you can, it's right there, Ed.
Yeah.
That's the joint. The joint's talking to you. And then the nerve comes out of a hole called the intervertebral foramen right next to the joint. And if that nerve's involved, it'll give you what we call radicular pain or radiating pain. So this is what ultimately sciatica eventually. This area, by keeping this area moving, it's a healthy sign that your lower back's probably not overstressed because you're feeling something in here. Sometimes new patients come in and most people don't have any feeling in their middle back, and then all they feel is their lower back. So it's a good sign that you caught this early enough that you're not, late to the game. Most of my new patients come in and it's down here, Ed, and it's going into my hip, and so we want to keep that from happening. We have to keep this moving up here. There we go. Yeah, right there on those ribs. The rib head joints have a lot of feeling, so your body just wants to lean away from them. I go to the mall, or everybody's rounded forward, or Disney World, everybody's rounded forward, looking down at their phones. Nobody thinks anything of it. There's no TV commercials telling us about alignment. It's hard to go through this life and figure out what to do. You're too mean to your patients. You're beating them up. You're not even asking them how they're feeling. I'm like,
You should see my fall.
Right. That's right. All right, here we go. If I'm going too deep, you just let me know, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How quickly the marks come up sort of let you know, how much is in there. It's sort of like vacuuming. The more sounds you hear, the more, dirt and Cheerios are in the carpet. So, real quick, some marks came up in here. You okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, good. Almost directly correlates with where you feel symptoms, where you, like right in here.
Oh, yeah.
Came up real dark. I guess where he pointed when he was standing upright, and you almost can see the difference between, like this took a little bit to come out, and this came up pretty quick. So the joints are loaded with pain fibers, and so when they're sitting in all this acidity, bending forward keeps it swollen, keeps it inflamed. Getting in here, working all this out of here. Make sure when you get home, try to do an Epsom salt bath, or Epsom salt compress. You can take just some water and salt and make a salt compress, hold that on there for about 5 minutes, or you can do a 15-20 minute salt bath, or just He-Man it and drink a lot of water, and but it can be pretty sore when you have all this toxins that have been trapped in here, stirred up. There we go. Our body constantly replaces. We use the word healing to denote this, but it really is just replacement. Nutrients are brought in, waste is brought out, and your body constantly replaces the tissue. And part of what's in this mark is because the area's been so tight, it's not getting good circulation. So the area builds up with toxins, old tissue, acidity, and that irritates the nerve endings in the joints. And kind of can be, it hurts even when I'm laying down, hurts when I'm upright, just hurts all the time because the tissue itself is inflamed. And of course, when you put weight on it, it can bring it up to a higher point, but
Mm-hmm.
Let's get this shoulder here. There we go. So the whole purpose of that side posture adjustment was to loosen up this joint. The looser we get the SI joint, just preventatively taking pressure off your lower back. Just trying to loosen up this SI joint a little bit. good.
I don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, not there, Ed. Found an old injury on you right there. Mm-hmm. No, Ed, I was born with a dent in there. It was born all tangled.
And go over the handlebars of a motorcycle.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, yeah.
That one.
Yeah. I got you. Do you have any off-road bikes?
Yes.
Oh boy. So much fun. Right there. There we go. I filled it all in. I missed a spot there. My canvas. Now it's complete.
Dr. Ed,
Yes.
is there a good way for me to sit when I'm at home to counteract all the forward bending I do?
Right.
And
Best way is to try to lay either lounging on your side, or laying on your belly, arching up. It's really just balance. If I know I talk badly about bending forward, but it's just we have to do too much of it already. And if you spend 8 hours at work sitting, and then an hour or two driving, and then you go home and watch Netflix at home sitting, it's just too much. And so I would, either part of this is doing those. I have to show you some extension stretching. So after we get you all loosened up in here, we're going to do some molding where we actually stretch our bodies back. So in order to change your posture, we have to stretch. My job here on this table is to loosen you up, get everything supple, and then we're going to show you how to, we call mirror image stretching. So the issue with sitting at home is that it feeds that forward rotation. It's essentially you're doing a mild stretch forward if you're sitting on a couch or sitting on a recliner. And then that just feeds that swelling and feeds that lactic acid in your middle back. So there's things that you can do at home to help lessen the debt kind of idea. You don't accrue so much lactic acid throughout your day, and then you won't have to have me clean up so much. I think it's like wearing your shoes in your house, right? Tracks in more dirt, right? If you take your shoes off at the door, your house won't be so dirty.
oh yes.
Gotta get all that out of there. So after I adjust you, you're a little bit more upright. The joints are compressed a little bit, and you'll be a little bit more upright. But really, it's not until you stretch that your posture's completely changed more permanently. And it takes about 20 minutes of extension stretching to essentially change your posture. And so like I said, the goal of this table is to get you loosened up. Otherwise, I would just put you right on the stretches and send you out the door. Most people, if their spine isn't adjusted and massaged and loosened up, the stretching can become too difficult. There we go, good. I got you, just hold on. Good. So it's really about stretching the front part of your body. If we just adjust the spine and we don't stretch the front side will just stay contracted and pull you back forward. So after we're adjusted, we have to start, and you'll actually feel tomorrow, Ed, not only is my back sore from being loosened up, but now the front sore from stretching. And it's actually the front side of the body that has to open up to ultimately change your posture. So remember at the beginning of the visit, we looked at your posture. Your head was a little bit forward from your shoulders. So after we push your shoulders in and stretch your head back, when you stand up, you'll be more upright than you were at the beginning. The arch in your spine, you develop in the first 3 to 6 months of life. We develop this arch in our neck, and then when we're crawling, we develop our arch in our lower back. It's supposed to be about a 45-degree arch, and that arch is designed to take us through life. The arch is necessary for the weight, like a bridge, to be evenly distributed over all the segments. So not only is your head forward, but the arch in your neck has gone straight. And so there's two things we're trying to do. We're trying to retract the head back and then get the arch back in your spine. So when the head goes forward, that curve goes straight. You're supposed to have this arch in the spine that allows the weight to be evenly spread over all the segments. Same thing in your lower back. The arch is supposed to take you through life. And when we sit, you asked me about, what's the best position to spend at home as well. Sitting just straightens that, and then all the weight, like a ladder, goes right down to the bottom. And these last two segments are where all surgery happened. The joints, what you're feeling up there at the top, are the ribs. This model doesn't have the ribs that attach here on the side. And the rib joints get inflamed as our body rounds forward. These joints get swollen. That's what you're feeling. Part of it's this side is stuck, and then you're throwing all the work to that right side. So keeping this moving takes the stress off your lower back, but then ultimately we want to get this curve back in the spine. I talked earlier about the two things you can feel. You can feel the joint, those little knuckles in there where they slide together. You can feel the joints, and then obviously the foramen, the nerve goes through this little hole. And watch what happens when you bend forward. See how that hole gets larger?
Yeah.
People think it's their friend to bend forward because there's no feeling on the disc. This cartilage on the front has no feeling. The joint and the nerve have a lot of feeling. So we forwardly rotate through all the way to the disc, and then what happens over time, on this model they have one at L3, a disc herniation, so the disc is actually protruding out, and over time that can further hit the nerve. The actual joint itself, look at this body, getting realigned here, is dislocating. So the joint itself can actually grow also. So if you overwork these joints, they actually start to grow like a muscle. If you overwork a muscle, the muscle grows. These joints will start to grow, and that impinges the nerve also. So you have the disc coming in from the front, you have the joint growing from the back, and so that's part of why we want to adjust and keep your whole spine working, James, is so that not any one joint is overstressed. Because if you overstress a joint, it gets bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So having the curve in the spine keeps the weight off the discs. These are made of 70-80% water. So think of a sponge. If you keep it constantly compressed, it gets thinner, it loses its water over time. About 10-15 years, they say the research shows that it takes to herniate a disc. So constant compression, tears in the disc, cause the disc to rupture, and now you have what we call radicular pain, radiating pain. And so same thing in the neck. We want the arch, and then we want the head. We want your head not muscled back, but this is where I want to be. This is my normal posture, just relaxed. The ear has to be over the shoulder. If it's forward, that keeps constant stress here, and then it throws it down to your back, sort of like a lever. The more forward your head goes, the more leverage you place. So let's look how you're looking now. Look straight forward. Yeah, better. Yeah. It's about 1 inch now. Came in about 2 inches forward. We want to get the head back, and that's what we're trying to do. And then that'll take the stress off his middle back. And how you feel?
Perfect. A lot better.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.